Bienvenue à toutes et à tous. Nous allons maintenant commencer la plénière numéro 2 sous la présidence de son Excellence, Monsieur le Directeur du Centre de Genève.
So we will start the second plenary session under the chair with Mr. Toscano, who is the chair of the GICHD. Thank you once again for
directors and United Nations advisors. We are really very happy as GICHD to continue to be of support to you in this undertaking. So thank you. I want to thank the panelists in advance, whose insight we will surely learn from. And thank you to everyone joining us today here in this very room, but also online, for your interest in this topic and what I'm sure are going to be thought-provoking questions that will reach us. So thank you again for being here with us. As a way of introducing the discussion today, let me challenge you with, and when I say you, I mean you, colleagues, but then also the audience. I want to challenge you with two questions in my opening remarks. The first is, why does our sector invest in information management? So the why question. The GICHD itself invests substantially to bring information management capabilities to the sector. Since our founding in 1998, information management has been a cornerstone of what we offer, and it is an area in which we are privileged to have a strong reputation and a very significant reach. Our flagship platform, the Information Management System for Mine Action, IMSMA, is used by more than 80% of national and UN mine action programs globally. In addition to systems and software, our information management program offers expert advice, training, assessment frameworks, and implementation support to help states and other partners use quality information to support their programming and operational management. But why should the sector invest in information management? It is, I believe, solely for the impact it will have to enable more efficient, more effective operations. Information management is a means to accelerate and improve efficacy. It is a means to help us achieve what these meetings aspires: safe ground, safe steps, safe home. My second question is the following: is our sector fully taking advantage of information management? According to an evaluation commissioned by the GICHD last year, and I quote, actors across the main action sector generally favor data collection over data utilization. While maybe a bit disheartening, this statement is not wholly surprising. It is comparatively easy to equip teams with things like standard forms, mobile data collection, tools, and databases. It is far more difficult to create the enabling environment and organizational culture for the meaningful use of information throughout all aspects of operations. We must be careful not to be swept up by technology that might be shiny and new, but we need to constantly ask the so what question to be sure that emerging tools can be applied, adapted, and sustained in the contextual realities of the field. Our panel discussion will consider this and related themes. So without further ado, I'm delighted to introduce my colleague, Noor Zangana. Noor is the Information Management Capacity Development Advisor at the GICHD, and she will moderate this panel discussion. Noor, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Stefano. Good afternoon, dear participants. Today in the panel, we will have 3 panelists coming from different backgrounds. We will have Mr. Ahmed Lama. Ahmed, he is currently the head of Information Management Section at the Lebanon Mine Action Center. He has responsibility for the implementation of MISMA Core since August 2020. Ahmed joined LMAC in 2017, where he led a team of instructors at the Regional School for Humanitarian Demining in Lebanon. Also, we have Rose Sofal. Ms. Rose Sofal has been working in mine action sector with Cambodian Mine Action and Victim Assistance Authority, CMAA, for 14 years. Currently, she is the head of database unit, deputy under socio-economic planning and database management department, and also play a role of deputy gender team. We have also Mr. Amir Umerajic. Amir, he is the director of Peace and Security Cluster, PSC at UNOPS, based in New York. In his role as the business unit head of the Peace and Security Cluster, Amir provides leadership and direction to the team in New York, as well as across 19 field programs where PSC operated as a management and delivering a platform of United Mine Action Service, UNMAS. To start a questionnaire with my dearest panelists, I may go back to questions that Stefano shared. Why do we invest in information management of mine action? And therefore, I may ask you, Sofal, how do we measure efficiency and impact of information management based on your knowledge working in National Mine Action Program?
Thank you, moderator, and also thank you to Stefano. And good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Regarding to the question that asked from moderator, I emphasize for Cambodian Mine Action and Victim Assistance Authority the part for information management. So how do we measure efficiency and impact of information management? So I think from my understanding, it to ensure the robust, accurate and efficient information management, control mechanism around system quality, information quality and service quality need to be applied. For national authority like CMAA, we need both quality of system use and also quality of information being entering direct impact on the quality of service or organizational sectoral performance. Of course, in Cambodia, as a mine action authority, we integrate all information management into all part of mine action activity. For example, like baseline survey, contamination clearance work plan, quality management with team assistance. And it is, as you already aware, that information management is vital to efficient and effective in terms of planning prioritization. Of course, regarding to monitoring and reporting for all national demining activity, include gender mainstreaming as ADD as well. So it is particularly important in effort forward Article 5, Article 7, and also the Oslo Action Plan. And to train practice our information management, I said in terms of Cambodia, can be demonstrated through the sector baseline survey, which we has been finished survey in 2020. And also it provides a transparent and shared understanding of contamination throughout all the countries. Understanding suspected hazardous area and a type of contamination enable CMAA as authority to provide with operator and to develop such as a clearance work plan and also with quality assurance, quality control mechanism in place and also well-defined and evidence-based data reporting line. Moreover, we also maintain the data, in terms of regularly verify the data every 3 months in the collaborate with all national and international mining operator in Cambodia. We use a scenario as data verification checklist or with a technical reference group of information management, which is prepared and distributed to all operators by national authority department for database unit, and also then entering into the national database. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Sofal. That's quite interesting, and actually it's challenged us to, because you mentioned very important key points such as quality management, priorities, Oslo Action Plan, and that make me thinking to ask Mr. Ahmed about how do you rely on information management to prioritize operation? What impact does this have on your efficiency and effectiveness? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Good afternoon for everybody. So before I answer your question about prioritization, I will just talk briefly about how the prioritization is done in Lebanon, or how was done in Lebanon, and how it changed now. So the Lebanon Mine Action Center is now using IMS-MACOR as its main information management system. Before IMS-MACOR, the prioritization of operations in general and for contaminated areas especially didn't rely on information management system. It was based on data collected during a landmine impact survey conducted in 2000. As an example of data collected during this landmine impact survey was data related to the proximity to population, proximity, of course, of contamination to population, and the historical land use. Then, after collecting all this data, operation officers study all these factors together to classify lands as high, medium, and low priority. So this system has been used for many years and works well, even with some human errors and or missing information during the impact survey. However, this classification, as I said, was for landmine contaminated area. But due to consecutive wars and conflict in Lebanon, new type of explosive ordnance contamination appears, especially cluster munition contamination in 2006 and IEDs in 2017. So this new contamination were evidently incorporated into the information management system for mine action, and the prioritization methodology was adopted based on socioeconomic factors. By 2020, the remaining contamination with all type of explosive ordnance in Lebanon was around 26% from all surveyed land in the country. So according to a mine action program life cycle, we are in a phase where priorities have changed. And the focus is no more or no longer on area close to population or areas that have a direct socio-economic impact, as most of this land have been released. So all these factors together led ALMAC to consider re-evaluating its prioritization methodology. So a new study is conducted in cooperation with UNDP Lebanon to create a system that adopts three-category approach methodology, weaving safety together with economy and treaty compliance. Of course, when I talk about treaty compliance, what is important for Lebanon is to start or to clear faster contaminated land with cluster munition because of treaty compliance. And to make these priorities more accurate, a scoring system weighing these different factors was creating accordingly. So this is the image about how the Lebanon Mine Action Center prioritized his contaminated area before UNMAS Makor. Fortunately, the studies that I talked about the scoring matrix was or coincided with the implementation of UNMAS Makor. So we discussed a lot with the GICHD how to rely on this new system or new information management system to create an automatic prioritization system. And we had many choices. One of them was, for example, the PRISMA tool, or the Priority Information System for Mine Action. And it's a very important tool, but we decided to do it in a different way by automatically calculate the priority at the data collection level, because PRISMA can be integrated in a web application, so it's after the data collection. Why we decide to calculate automatically the prioritization at the data collection level? Because the studies that I talked about is based on a score matrix, as I mentioned, that can be used once the data for each site in the database is updated or new data are entered through NTS. So when operators go to the field and collect data through NTS, they start collecting information about the prioritization. And it was very easy using Survey 123, one of the tools of UNMAS Makor, to embed this priority question inside the NTS form in order to provide all the necessary information required for the best priority result. And then the system or the survey itself will automatically calculate the priority without any human intervention. So the only human intervention here is by setting the criteria or question that define the prioritization. This system will reduce mistake and bias in land classification. This approach is adopted to ensure efficient land release with maximum impact by updating data on a regular basis. There's also a strategy in Lebanon, or an implementing plan for the strategy, to do NTS every 3 years. You can imagine that data related to prioritization will be updated in a regular basis, and the prioritization will be updated accordingly to this NTS. So ALMAC considers that this new prioritization system represents the core of a humanitarian mine action, and it's an important tool to support all actors in decision-making, monitoring, and evaluating of land release impact. Thank you.
Thank you. That's so interesting, Mr. Ahmed, which make me have thinking about, like, with all those changes and requirements coming from the field, as Lebanon example for Cambodia, what are the conditions that enable successful alignment of people, process, and organization plus technology to help you to overcome those? Thank you.
Thank you, moderator, for your question. Again, second chance for me. So, as you may know that all people, process, technology, and organization must link together in order to achieve something in your organization. So, Cambodia has a mature well established mine action sector as authority structure, national authority structure, that we have a global best practice, and also we call a national mine action strategy that we stage from 2018 to 2025 with detailed 8 goals that across with clearance with team assistance mine action contribution to economic growth and also poverty reduction and regional and international cooperation, and also with residual threat management, also gender and also environment with quality of information as well. So having a framework and clearly a strategy goal create a shared understanding of collective vision and plan for what it to achieve. I think it is a bring together the power of align people, process, and technology and organization. So through the year, our lesson learned and adaptation of innovation in Mind Action in Cambodia apply consideration for all of a component for each stage of Mind Action activity, wherever it is a local village consultation for planning and prioritization, because we need to be ensure or need a driver people-centered approach, equip main operator, national and international operator that operate in Cambodia with a technology for field reporting. For example, like Mr. Amen said about the data collection, we also use data collection through the app for Survey 123 that allow the operator and also the people who work with Mind Action can report directly through the online platform, That is, we can with the technology and also field reporting, clear and evidence-based quality management, and also the process to have the national Mind Action standard with align with international Mind Action standard as well, and also strong national ownership and a commitment by national government of Cambodia. So the power of integration for the people and also process technology and also organization facilitate to efficiency and effectiveness and perform of the sector in Cambodia, and it is underpinned by the guideline strategy taking Cambodian forward to ambitious of our Mind Free 2025. So thank you.
Interesting. Hearing example from two Mind Action centers talking about data collections, prioritization, it triggers a question: how can a national authority enable operators to work in a shared functional IAM system, Ahmed?
In Mind Action, a national authority is working with a wide range of stakeholders, including employees, implementing partners, donors, etc. And every stakeholder have different needs in terms of information. So when thinking about implementing or adopting a new information management system, national authorities must streamline and improve the delivery of digital experience by being as frictionless as possible, because any friction can extend beyond just internal operation to any and all of interaction with users and partners. In information management system, friction appears as inefficient workflows, shadow information technology, slow web application, inappropriate deployment methods, and anything else that gets in the way of or slow the user experience. Therefore, it affects the ability to deliver relevant information and solutions that help accomplish desired outcomes in a timely, cost-effective, and streamlined way. In previous IMSMA versions, factors that caused friction include the time spent to deliver report, distance between the data center and operators, and lack of information. Today, with IMSMA Core, these factors don't exist anymore. But now, the factors that cause friction include having a culture that doesn't support innovation. It's like people always have fear from technology and from new things. Also, dated workflows and processes and aging IT resource. And I think all of these things are related together, because when there's a culture to refuse any renovation or innovation, there's no way to update workflows and processes or to upgrade IT resource. So to enable operators to work in a shared, frictionless IAM system, the following should be considered. First, the information management system should be people-centric. Because the only reason a system succeeds is because of and for people. And that is not limited to the users only. So the focus should be on delivering and sharing more valuable information to all stakeholders, so the mine action program will be sustainable. This highlights the importance of involving all stakeholders in at least the first step in the information management cycles when we do a needs assessment, and making them feel like they are a part of the system. When people feel that they are part of something, they do everything to, for the success of this system. So, for example, by contributing in one data field, if every stakeholder contribute in one data field that reflect what they really need in terms of information and what they really want to see at the end as an IAM product. The first thing to be considered when implementing a new information management system is to be an agile system. Agility comes in many forms, including the ability to change and solve problems and issues that may arise. I know that it's hard to make something perfect from the first time, but it should be easy to change and to correct, and here's the feedback from users. So the objective should be at the end is to make a user-friendly system, because users, if they don't like the system, they will start maybe collecting data and information in different way. And I think all national authority face the same things, that they have maybe many databases in every device in form of, I don't know, Excel sheet or anything else. The third thing to be considered is the data sharing policy. Local authority are gathering information or gathering data or a vast amount of data from their operation. This data include data about contaminated area and historical description about this area, including information about the conflicts, about the war, data about the demining activities and survey activities, data about accident and victims, data about risk education and behavioral change. So data collection on this scale requires a concrete information dissemination policy, because users should have or should get the right information at the right time. And so how to manage to give people the right information and doing this sharing policy in a safety way. Sharing processes should be automated and safe by defining every user, or what can every user see and what can every user share with other users. Over to you.
If I may just
yes,
intervene on this point, because the last point you made about sharing and sharing appropriate information is a key issue in a way in today's world. When we talk about data exchange, the issue of data protection comes to mind. So I was wondering maybe if you could elaborate further, or maybe somebody else. My question would be how to ensure that data ownership and privacy are there when you exchange data with external stakeholders. I'm sure this is an issue that takes ever more center stage in your reflections and actions. Thank you.
Maybe we start with Amir if you like to.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you for keeping my team. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and friends, colleagues. About data ownership, we all start from the premise that ownership lies with the national authorities. But I think the new technology and the way we are able to use it now, people focus to user-centric or the other way around, really allows us to not only segment the data and do analysis of it, but also to decide how access works. So the technology has really gone through significant improvements. So is our understanding how we use the information for better decision making. But I think the latest software makes it easy for national authorities or whoever is managing the data to decide how access to that data works, or also segments of that data. So I think we have the tools.
So thank you for the question from the Excellency Stefano. From the Cambodian side, it is important that we need to be protect the data, and also during when we change the data with external stakeholder. Of course, we need to obey with information management protocol. That is data protection that we need to be. I think it every section and also sector, mine action and other non-organization, they need to be careful with the data. So data is really a vital safeguard important information for the corruption or any loss. And I think it is really that we need to be through, he mentioned about the way that we can exchange the data or share the data, that we have the create more data at the high 10 speed. The importance of the data protect increase as the amount of data create and also store. Especially in Cambodian, we have many kind of data for the survey, clearance, quality management with team assistant, and also gender, as well as the other data that support on development as well. So as authority, we need to be careful with it, and also before we share anything, we need to be held a protocol or checklist to be shared. For example, need to be, if the data is medium, we need to be just as level for the head of department or director of department. But if the data is more sensitive, we need to be asked with the top management as well. So within the Cambodian, as CMA has established policy and also methodology to facilitate it. I talk about in terms of data sharing and also protect the data. For example, we had developed with a Cambodian Mine Action Standard Chapter 17 on information management. So we also start in detail in that CIMA. I call it CIMA. When we develop the CIMA, we must align with the IMAS. So the IMAS that is our, I can say, is a role model that we capture by or copy by a style of it. From that we have a lot also, especially from develop on in terms of IMA, and also in CIMA for Cambodian that I said about 17, chapter 17, we also looking stat in detail to bring operator, national and international operator, thinking about the standard of data sharing on the security, backup, and also the confidential of the data sharing. But however, it is a likely mine action where the data provide life-saving decision making. CMAA as well has enabled mine action operator and also the stakeholder to present their mine action information as well. Like Lebanon said that about this as well. And also in Cambodian operator, they have their own system. Before they send the data to authority, they need to be fulfill the report based on the donor need and also based on the requirement as well. But of course, they have the obligation to send the data to the authority. So send the data to authority, and as well we have this, the way that to change as a public web technology, and also through the other channel that in terms of data sharing, also the online platform as well. So thank you.
Yeah, I will elaborate more on this answer, just because I think it's a question that may arise to all national authority when they think about implementing a new information management system, and when they hear that their data will be stored in the cloud or something like this. So they will always think about how to protect the data ownership. So as I mentioned in my previous question, a vast amount of data is collected during mine action activities, and some of this data is personal and sensitive, like data about victims, for example. So in order to ensure data protection and privacy, a number of proactive policies and strategies should be documented and understood by relevant staff. One of these strategies is the information storage and sharing policy. So this policy should document rules and regulation about the following. First, the type of information that can be stored in the system. We always have to think about what to collect, because the more data collected, the bigger the surface for data breaches. So as a first rule of data protection, only necessary data for future planning and decision should be collected. I know that most of them maybe think that if we collect a lot of data now, maybe we will use them later in the future. But every data have a life cycle, and the data collected today will not be maybe usable in many years after. So I think this concept, and I don't know if my colleague agree with me, this concept of collecting a lot of data to be used in the future is not very right. The second rules that should we talk about in data protection is how this data or information should be stored and protected. For example, if data is stored on a local server, care should be taken to protect equipment from physical attacks. And I mean here by, for example, USB sticks and unauthorized system access. So this is what we can call insider threats in a malicious or accidental way. And I think frequently when we plan for a new data protection policies, this part is underestimated or even overlooked, but it can be costly. And I think there's a lot of example when some employees think that they own the data and destroy the data, or I don't know, delete the data if they leave the enterprise or the institution. Third thing we have to think about is what information can be shared and with whom. And I think this is the thing that Mr. Amir mentioned about the segmentation. I will call it in a different way, because the new IAM system allows a principle of least privilege. So what I mean by this is where the access is limited to what is needed to carry out a job function only. So this principle is applicable by giving permission to a group of users to access predefined features and tools. But we should always think that these groups and permissions may change by time. some of users leave, so he should be deleted, some tools change, so we have to think always about to conduct regular access reviews to identify old and unnecessary permission. And the last thing is about the format of sharing information. In what format will you share information with users or with stakeholders? I know it's easier for users and for everyone to have an Excel sheet of data where they can analyze, add a column, delete a row, and do their own statistic in their device. However, sharing data in similar format increase the risk of data breach because this file can circulate from hand to hand without any restriction. So it's better to rely on the tools and the software available in the information management itself and to train people on how to use and how to filter and how to analyze using web application available in the system. As all the time, if they use tools available in the system, data will never leave the database. Thank you.
Interesting. Actually, after talking about data, IAM system, it's come to my mind, like, we really need to hear from you, maybe from the three of the panelists, after investing in a modern information management system, what type of innovation is possible and what impact can it have? Maybe I start with you, Sofal, then Ahmed, then Amir, that may lead us to your demo presentation that we have about informed decision makers. Sofal, over to you.
Okay, thank you, moderator, for the question. So I think the question is quite big because why? Because it is thinking about the future also, invest information management. And also, if you cannot invest in terms of information management, every organization cannot succeed because information only talking about the mind action information is a heart, or we can say it's a main bank of information data that we can do everything on the data analysis or wherever planning, prioritization is even the decision making. We need the data. We need all the data and information in hand. So back to the question, invest a modern information system. Of course, and what type of innovation is possible. So availability of a modern information management is creating opportunity with the mine action sector for innovation at the operational level. For example, field-based data collection or analyze through the strategy or any analysis or any, for example, within the IMSMA core or any platform of the system that we can adapt for, or we can take as the new innovation for the bring as can bring the national information or the data to be reach the target, as well as through the strategy across the cutting analysis can enable both a faster decision making and reporting, and also supporting the creation of the new data and understanding of mind action contribute to development or 2030 agenda. You also aware this morning panelists talking about development. So information management is really important, that is, and also support with development section, and also with direct line 30, that is that universal of the SDG that we can be localized through it, and also GICHD with a link in terms of SDG. And Cambodian also has the SDG 18 with a link to mine action, with link to mine action and ERW as well. So to conclude it, I think information management and also every section that we need to be invest a lot, and also adapt with everything that new can be all organization or mine action authority or operator can be thinking about it. And I can take the example in terms of national authority in Cambodia, as a CMA is play important role in terms of collaborate with a partner such as GICHD or UNDP and other development partner line ministry. We used to overlay the data that is a data set, because in Cambodia, like I said before, we have a lot of data set that is different stage of information that is with overlay with our data set with a satellite imagery to create a comprehensive data of pre and post clearance land used to provide direct evidence and also evaluation and change with different stage of the clearance and also land release process. Thank you.
Sorry. When we talk about innovation, most people think of new products, while there's a wide range of different innovation outcomes possible. For example, new ideas can be a kind of innovation. And actually, innovation is a practical application of ideas that result in different new type of new offering, like services, processes, workflows, intended to improve existing application or create new solutions. After investing in new IM system, a good understanding of the components and capabilities of this new system will allow new ideas to be created and implemented. For example, in IMS-MACOR, it's a new information management system, but it's based on ArcGIS tools that have been used in many sectors outside the mine action sectors. And there's a lot of best practices about the using of these tools. So it doesn't matter if the idea comes from the outside the sector, but the important is to customize the available tools to fit into your work. So, of course, there's a lot of pre-prepared models and workflows done by the Geneva Center that can be used, but there's no limit really for innovation, especially in workflows to create new type of data collection and data analysis tools by using the power of web applications.
If you don't mind, I'll address the innovation aspect during the presentation, so we can just do it in one go.
That's amazing, because we already started.
May I just check how much time we have left?
We actually start a little bit late, so you
okay.
have... We're supposed to be okay.
All right. So if you can put the slides up. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody, again. As the director of United Nations Office for Project Services, I represent an organization which has been part of the mine action sector for more than 25 years. We partner with UN sister agencies, with governments, in order to project manage mine action activities in more than 20 countries and territories. So today's agenda, please next slide. Today's agenda will have 4 parts. We will cover UNOP's strategic approach to information management. We use the term business intelligence to capture a landscape of information management tools, but also to point towards purpose of such tools, which is effective and efficient decision making. We will talk about component 1, as we refer to, of our business intelligence system, and that's global IMS platform. We will also talk about component 2, which we refer to as portfolio program and project management platform. And finally, we will show how these components actually integrate using information cycles and feedback loops, and how that integration leads to improved business intelligence and a greater return on investment. Next slide, please. So, Mine Action Business Intelligence System. In this context, it's about enabling awareness and unleashing the information management potential for more effective and efficient decision-making. In general, our approach is to view the business intelligence system as a process where the focus is on the collaborative approach to creating and managing information. I already mentioned two elements of what we refer to as business intelligence system. Aside from the actual platforms we use, the system is dependent on both the team's ability to access and understand the information, and crucially so on the relationships between teams. Essentially central to business intelligence system are both people and tools. People designing and using information management tools. Only through relationship and interaction between teams and individuals can the information and knowledge be truly captured, understood, and used. Next slide, please. So a few words about global IMS. The UNMAS global IMS project has been running since 2019. Phase 1, or the implementation phase, was completed in October 2022, meaning that 18 programs are reporting over 100 workflows into the IMS. A key success factor in the delivery of the project has been the strong partnership between UNMAS as the project owner, UNOPS as project manager, and GICHD as technical assistance partner. The primary objective of the platform is to provide framework for operational reporting and analysis, therefore again enabling better decision-making. We distinguish broadly two main user types of the global IMS. Firstly, there are so-called front-loaders. These are the data creators and managers, operations officers, IM officers, implementing partners. Secondly, the users, field program management, or headquarters personnel. Regardless of types of users, all have their own requirements of the IMS and all have their own sites accessible online. The next slide will actually just show a screenshot of the website where actually access is unlimited to the public. The field programs requirements are all about getting their workflow information into the system using the traditional information management cycle. Collection, validation, storage, and presentation. Let's go through a couple of screenshots, taking a DRC, for example. So next slide, please. So DRC, for example, data can be used for a lot of different reporting and analysis tools, like the global M&E dashboards, accessible again to all IMS users. But they also have a more restricted operation sites, so you can see it on the next slide. It's used for validation processes, operational oversight, and collaborations and data sharing with partners. Another couple of examples would be from Afghanistan, and you can show 3 slides in sequence slowly. So Afghanistan, for instance, uses IMS for stakeholders management. So donors have direct access to the progress to their operations, such as activity monitoring and funding oversight. And one more slide for Afghanistan. I think that's it. Headquarters' main requirement is geared towards global oversight of operations reporting. For example, the automated thematic area M&E dashboards, like the IED dashboard, which is a great resource for M&E teams, technical teams who may want to see real-time geotemporal trends of IEDs across all programs. Going on to the next slide in component 2, that speaks really about nuts and bolts about portfolio program and project management. So operational reporting and analysis from the global IMS creates a basis for implementation and delivery of project activities. UNOPS PSC has captured its portfolio program and project management processes through a series of information management tools. Our enterprise resource planning system, PSC's bespoke info portals, operational and management planning tools, and dashboards. We view knowledge management as a business process which uses collaborative approach to the creation, capture, organization, access, and use of information for both the explicit and tacit knowledge. Knowledge management, even though people-based in its approach, relies heavily on technology as an enabler to achieve its goals. An example of how project management information is used is demonstrated through our information portal. If you can go to the next slide. So that's information portal we use in New York, but we are actually creating information portals in field programs such as Mali, Afghanistan, and other ones. Some additional examples how we actually organize project management information is given in the next couple of slides, so you can actually see, please, next slide. You can see just screenshots of human resources management portal, procurement, partner agreements. There are many others, and I really was hoping we'll do a live demo, but I think that the safest way was actually to show a number of screenshots. So finally, the next slide talks about component integration. I already said that Global IMS as a platform informs our project management or portfolio management decisions. There are multiple connected feedback loops built into the business intelligence systems, and the purpose of these loops is to provide needed information to program and operations personnel to help them inform data-driven decisions. The feedback occurs either through scheduled review and reporting cycles, or through direct access into the IM tools themselves using Google Workspace. The resource helps capture and communicate business requirements and insight using cloud-based tools such as info portals and dashboards. I'd like to reflect a little bit on the return on investment. It came up during our discussions, including on innovation. So return on investment is realized in this particular project and segment of our work through several elements. Firstly, improved effectiveness and efficiency of our decision-making. Effectiveness in this context is answering the question whether our decisions lead to better results. Efficiencies, are our decisions timely? Are they responsive to the needs? Second aspect of return on investment is about economies of scale, measured in time and resources saved. Finally, I'd like to reflect also on opportunities for innovation. The more the organization grows, the better the return on investment, due to the fact that the initial infrastructure, training and development cost, as well as the time and effort needed to establish these platforms, have already been made. We can now deploy a fully functioning IM, information management implementation model in a few days, with almost negligible scaling costs, which a few years ago would have taken many months and have tied up costly resources. These freed up resources can now be directed towards innovation. Examples, innovation in impact assessment. Next slide, please. Through projects we are running with UNMAS Afghanistan and in collaboration with partners like MIT, ALKIS, and the US Department of State, we are now able to automatically and accurately measure change patterns as a result of land release. Using satellite imagery, remote sensing, and machine learning, we are able to quantify the impacts over time. Innovation in the automation of data and information sharing. Next slide would demonstrate that. An example of this is WFP automated data sharing in the Sahel region through APIs or data portals. This vastly reduces the amount of resources needed to collect and process information that can be crucial to operational planning, prioritization such as security or situational awareness reporting. Finally, innovation in automation of reporting and analysis. We are now able to automatically generate large-scale, real-time global reports and analysis in minutes, such as global work plan, progress dashboards, or annual reports, which in the past would have taken weeks. And next slide. It's a slide, those of you who attended Afghanistan side event would have seen it already, but it's another practical demonstration how within minutes, hours, we can actually create maps that combine information from recent events in Afghanistan, earthquake that affected wide area. We can actually overlay information about hazards in that area, and actually the team in Afghanistan has created a flyer and informed first responders going into the area delivering humanitarian assistance. So with that, that concludes my presentation. I really hope this quick overview of UNOPS business intelligence process highlights some of the advantages of a comprehensive and strategic approach to information management, as well as the real potential for harnessing the power of people using the latest information management tools. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amir, and thank you so much for being here in time. Actually, I've been informed that we are a little bit behind the time, so we will open the floor for the questions. Like, we have almost 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes for the question, and then we will conclude by Stefano. So the floor is open for the questions. Yes, please.
Thank you very much for the presentation. My name is William Colley. I work in Afghanistan with UNICEF as a child protection specialist, but also responsible for our mine action work. Just a quick question. Just building on Mr. Lama's point when he mentioned about the sensitivity of data and data being, in some cases, for individuals. I would have loved to hear a little bit about how you are addressing the issue of consent of data. Because data belonging to individual, we have to use them for any purpose. We have to be able to get some level of consent. That did not come out in the presentation. I would really love to hear a little bit from your side how that is being managed. Thank you very much.
May you please repeat back your question, if possible?
Yeah, just the last question, please.
The last part.
The last part, sorry.
No, the question is about consent. How do you ensure consent of individuals whose data you are handling? How do you ensure that they agreed that the data be shared, be used, etc.?
So, as I understand, we mentioned this before, that the new systems have the appropriate tools and application where you can define. I don't know if I don't want to go very technically in this, but you can divide the data field and define what users can really see from so for example, if you collect like a long form about the victim, you can just only show a part of this data for some users, and another part from this data for other, for example, victim section at the national authority or victim assistance. So you can play on this at the database level to define what every users can see from the whole data that you have in the database.
Any more questions? Yes, please.
Thank you very much. I just want have to make a comment. First of all, we all of us, or me, myself, my name is Sufyan Al-Sous from IOCTR, and we thank you all for preparing this nice meeting, which is very rich of information. And I like also to thank GICHD for their also preparation and for their hard work. My question is, or my comment is, I don't know how to use it, sorry. As we all know that GICHD is supporting many countries and many programs. And now it is time, I think, to use the new technology in demining whatever it's about management information, or for even demining, or for whatever is that could be done. And now we can see some new technology everywhere, especially after Corona time problems. We can see now we can make everything without being in spot. And also we must ask if GIC GICHD decide to go with the new technology systems, we will ask also UNMAS to make IMAS, sorry, to make a new programs for these things, because we have to make some rules for for using the new technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Things evolve indeed, and we all want to stay attuned to the new technology and take advantage as much as we can. I think for the sector it is very important that on all different aspects thereof it is framed by the IMAS. And this is the case for information management as well. It was mentioned by the panelists. But I take your point that as new technology evolves further, that it is also important that the IMAS keeps pace with that, and there might be further need for adjustment. But a lot of work went into updating the IMAS on information management recently, but of course it will continue. So your point is well taken on that. Thank you.
I think we have space for one more question before the conclusion. Yes, please. Because I cannot see your tag.
Oh, so I'm Ibrahim. I'm representing HDI. I wanted to ask, how long will it take you to implement the management information cycle into the projects?
You mean how much take time to implement the new information management system in the program? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, the idea of implementing the new the IMSMA core in Lebanon started in 2018 during, I think, a national director meeting where this system were presented for the first time. And after this, ALMAC studied its resource in terms of human resource and technical resource to see if we can implement this system. But we actually started the real work in the system and creating survey and application and stuff in August 2020. And we declare in this year, I think in April 2022, we fully implemented the system and migrated all data from last versions IMSMA NG to the new system. So we can talk like about a year and a half of full work to implement this new system without taking into account the preparation part when we prepared for technical hardware and resource.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. I think we reach to end of our Q&A session, but, oh, okay, please.
So I had one other question. What ways...
Mauritania, please. Sorry.
Oh, what ways and techniques will you use in order to ensure that the data that is collected is of a high quality?
For you.
It's for me also.
Yeah. Complete, but
do you mean by high quality, like to ensure that the data is collected correctly from the field? Yeah. So there's many factors that can goes into this question. First, you have to train people on how to collect data. The first thing, because training people on how to use the system take more time than implementing the system. Second, you have to study very well the type of data fields that you put in your survey. For example, if you put a lot of text data fields, you will have a lot of answers that you cannot analyze later. So you have to study very well the type of data fields and then train people on how to collect data correctly from the field.
How much do you think will be the cost to train people?
Thank you so much for your comment, because we are reaching to the conclusion of our Q&A, but the good thing, our panelists going to stay here for today and tomorrow, and please feel free to come and ask them directly during our breaks or during our session. And with that, I may hand over to my colleague Stefano for the conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Noor, for turning the floor to me. As you said, the panel will be around and it will be possible to ask questions even after the panel. So I would kindly ask the gentleman of Mauritania maybe to come after the panel for his question. I just wanted to share a few final thoughts. First of all, thoughts of thank once again to our panelists, Ahmed, Amir, Sofal, for the insight that you shared. And thank you, Noor, wholeheartedly for moderating this discussion so well. The rationale for investment in information management is to make operations more effective and efficient. And information management tools have matured alongside the evolution of the mine action sector. But we have heard today that there is strong evidence that to truly unlock the potential of information management requires a whole of organization commitment. A whole of organization commitment that would align people, process, technology, and organization. And the shared message that I think emerged from our panelists in the discussion is that any information management system is about people and tools and should be geared towards impact. So the GCHD information management approach recognizes that technology is only as useful as how well it aligns and it is integrated into operations. Installing information management tool in a way is the easy part. Weaving them into the operational fabric of the organization is far more difficult. So let us work together to take full advantage of the incredibly powerful information management tools that are available. And if we apply them effectively, information management tools brings us closer to safe ground, safe step, and safe home. So thank you very much again to all of you here and online for your interest and attention to the panelists, and I bring this to a closure.